According to the latest youth sex survey conducted through the Young Life Africa platform, most young South Africans would rather have money over sex. Joining me on Google Hangout is the mind behind this mobile platform, Gustav Paekelt. Now, Mr. Praekelt, you found that more young South Africans would rather have more money than sex. Why, and what other findings did you get?
Yeah, that is quite a I don't know if I want to call it a shocking result, but you know, we always talk about young people living or believing in love, but it looks like they believe more in money, which is quite a funny result. I mean we should also I think what it points to in a positive light is that our audience is very motivated by being successful, and I think money might be one proxy for that. So the fact that they mentioned that, I don't think they don't believe in love anymore, but I do think they think really carefully about success and about jobs and employment.
And how many young people took part in this survey, and what was the age range?
Mm-hmm. So we had an absolutely huge response. The incredible thing is the community now is more than 1.8 million people. So we believe this is the largest poll ever undertaken around sexual behavior and preferences in South Africa. So we had over 300,000 responses in the survey over 3 months. And the ages range from as young as 15 to as old as 40.
And just take us through a brief background of the Young Africa Live.
Sure, we'll do that. Well, you know, a couple of years ago, we were thinking about, you know, we're technologists, we love building technology, and we were thinking about the problem of HIV/AIDS in South Africa. And what really struck us is when we chatted to young people, they said the device that they get most of the information from, which is a mobile phone, there was absolutely nothing on the internet and on mobile phones that they could access on the mobile device. And we thought there's something wrong with this picture, that we have to do something about it. And that was about four years ago, sorry, actually even 5 years ago. And as a small experiment, we really built a very simple mobile portal that young people could connect with each other. And instead of calling it an HIV/AIDS portal, which nobody would have visited, we called it the Young Africa Live. And we also, I think the other really important thing was that we really focused on the type of things we thought young people would be interested in, which is love, sex, and relationships, and through the lens of celebrities and allowing young people to connect around that. And that, you know, within a couple of months, we were at 100,000 users, and now, you know, it's the largest private social community in South Africa.
And in terms of safe sex and HIV/AIDS, what were your findings?
So actually a very interesting thing is, and when we started out, and we've been doing this poll now every year, a very small percentage of people knew their HIV status. So when we started out, that was closer to 20%. One of the amazing results this year is that 70% of our audience now know their HIV status, which I think is absolutely incredible if you think about that growth only in the last 5 years. That's one of the really significant findings. The other one that for me was quite amazing is a couple of years ago, HIV/AIDS was the primary thing that young people thought was the primary danger and the thing that they were worried about. And that's been completely displaced now. The number one thing young people worry about is employment. And after that, education and health and alcoholism. And what's really interesting for me is that people feel that HIV/AIDS is now only the fourth most important thing or the challenge that young people face in South Africa. So I don't think we should be, you know, I think one of the dangers is obviously that people think it's not important enough, but I think it's incredible that over such a short period of time, people have felt and learned that HIV/AIDS can actually be beaten.
And I mean, I also saw an article that mentioned that there were also some preferences to anti-abortion, and as well as more young females preferring sexual encounters with circumcised men. Just tell me more about that.
Yeah, some of the more controversial findings. I think one of the things that's a little bit more controversial is that you know, we have a very liberal constitution, a very liberal audience, but in some matters we're still quite conservative. One of the things that I found quite interesting is that more than 80% of our users felt that abortion is murder and is something that's wrong. I think that's a very high percentage, and obviously shows that we still have quite a traditional audience. But I also think it reflects that people think that prophylactics and using things like condoms are a better way to do family planning than abortions. So I think that's quite a controversial finding in the poll.
And in terms of circumcision?
So yes, that's quite interesting as well. We had by far the majority, if you want the exact numbers, around 70% of our audience preferred circumcised men, and only 30% preferred uncircumcised.
And I mean, what kind of information can one be exposed to on this platform?
So I think the primary aim really is to create an open space and to change the conversation from a negative conversation that sex is bad and abstinence is the only way to avoid HIV/AIDS to a positive conversation. Sex is really something that should be equated with love. And what we wanted to do is create a platform where young people can discuss this openly with each other, with their peers, and then also to debunk some of the myths. So we wanted young people to be able to connect with each other and then find the correct information. So there are discussions around these type of topics, and you can read, obviously you can find out what your peers think, but when we also insert comments, we'll answer questions, and we have on a weekly basis a doctor that will respond to specific questions around issues that our young people might have or information that they don't have at that moment.